Madam
Well, I need a little
Secretary.
help from a chair that respects the members of the
Madam
committee. I'm sorry, Madam
Secretary.
Chair. This is,
You pretty much secured the southern border, haven't you?
Yes, sir. The CBP,
And
this president have.
that upsets some of my colleagues, doesn't it? They say you've done it the wrong way, haven't they? Could you answer that?
Yes, sir. They do say that.
Do you think they're upset because you supposedly did it the wrong way, or you think they're upset that you did it at all?
I think they're upset that by President Trump enforcing the law, it happened so quickly and successfully.
Yeah. Now, when President Biden came into office, the first thing he did was get rid of all of the things we were doing to stop people from coming into our country illegally, didn't he?
Yes.
I mean, it was like the Price is Right. Come on down. Except he said, come on in. And most of my Democratic colleagues went along with that, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
In fact, they cheered him on, didn't they? Is that a yes?
Yes, sir.
How many people do you think President Biden let into our country illegally? Just give me a ballpark figure.
Sir, we don't know for certain, but we believe it could be upwards to 20 million people that are illegally in this country.
So that's like adding 10 Nebraskas to our country, isn't it?
That's correct.
Why do you think President Biden and my Democratic colleagues did that? Do you think they believe in open borders?
I think they believed in open borders and letting people come into this country that would affect our society and criminals. Those other countries emptying out the worst of the worst, their mental institutions, their prisons came in here and jeopardized, and known terrorists.
Well, only one or two circumstances are possible, it seems to me. Either President Biden and the Democrats who supported him believe in open borders, or the people that President Biden put in charge of securing the border, you wouldn't trust to run a snowball stand, right?
That is correct.
So nobody is that incompetent. So it has to be, they just believe in open borders, do they not?
Yes, because I know the people who were securing the border and they weren't allowed to do their job.
Do you think they believe that vetting people at the border is racist?
Yes, I do. I think by the way they allowed people in and granted them immediate parole status.
Do you think that President Biden and some of my Democratic colleagues, I don't want to paint with too broad a brush, Madam Secretary, thought of these foreign nationals in our country illegally as potential new voters?
I do, sir.
Okay. If you're an ordinary American and you oppose illegal immigration, but you support legal immigration, does that make you a racist?
No, sir. No, sir, not at all. It just means that you believe there should be a rule of law, and that's what America was built on.
And that's what you've been enforcing, right?
Exactly. We have been following the Constitution and the rule of law in this country.
And I want to be sure I understand, because there's been a lot of confusing testimony here. You've secured the border, have you not?
This administration has, yes, sir.
And some of my colleagues are upset with you,
Yes, sir.
and they say you did it wrong.
Yes, sir.
And do you agree with me that what they're really upset about is that you did it at all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I want to ask you a last question about our federal judiciary. I've said repeatedly that all of us has a moral and a civic obligation to follow federal orders, and I stand by that. But there have been a lot of national injunctions, universal injunctions issued to try to stop you from doing your job. Where were these judges when people were breaking the law and coming into our country illegally? Were any of them speaking up and issuing national injunctions against the Democrats?
I don't believe I can be specific about every single judge, but these judges that now are trying to stop us from enforcing our laws, I don't believe or recall them.
Can you
being
think,
vocal then.
Madam Secretary, of one single solitary federal judge who, when President Biden and my Democratic colleagues, not all of them, but many of them,
Gentleman's time has expired.
well, Secretary or Senator Murray went on over about 2 minutes, so I'm going to take a
Well,
minute.
Senator Van
Well, if
Hollen
you
just got
can-
shut down.
Yes,
right
if
on
you
the
can,
zeros.
if you can finish your question.
Can you recall one single solitary federal judge when President Biden and my Democratic colleagues were letting 20 million people come into the country illegally?
I don't recall.
Can you think of
Thank
one
you.
single solitary judge
you.
that issued
more
a
than-
national
Thank you.
injunction
more than
to
one
stop
question.
them?
No, I can't recall
I
one.
can't either. If there weren't
you,
for
Senator
double
Kennedy.
standards
Madam
around
Chair,
here,
Okay.
Madam
there
And
wouldn't
so
be any
Senator Peters-
standards at all, Madam
have any
Secretary.
Thank you.
Committee,
Thank
Madam
you,
Chair.
Senator Kennedy.
I'd-
Senator Peters.
Madam, let me just say, let's apply the rules fairly. Senator Van Hollen was asking tough questions, but was shut down pretty immediately when his time was expired. Can we at least have a commitment, Madam Chair, that senators on this committee will be allowed to submit questions for the record,
Absolutely.
and that you will
Yes.
Absolutely.
ask the secretary to answer those questions?
Okay, I think I love Senator John Kennedy even more, because this is almost the same thing that Charlie Kirk have been saying, America needs to look out for the well-being of Americans, and that is it, You don't let people get into the country without due process, And by doing that, you endanger the people currently in the country. You understand? Because based on what she said almost 20 million people got into the border illegally. And that is a huge number. You can't say that 20 million people are all good or they are all nice. I know most of them are there because of survival, based on what they are going through in their country. But if you want a society to work, they need to be law and order. They need to be due process. You don't just walk into another person's country illegally and start doing your thing. You need to follow true process. The documentation needs to be there that this person is entering our country. This person is there. So in case you do something, they know where to get you from or how to track you down. They need to know what you are doing in the country. If you are there for visiting or permanent residence or whatever, the country needs to know your agenda. And I think that is what Donald Trump has been advocating for. He said we need to build the border and build it higher, build it thicker and all. And I think that is it. It might be a difficult decision, but it's for the well-being of Americans. And I think that is what Donald Trump has been fighting for. And I believe that is what Senator John Kennedy and Charlie Kirk have been fighting for. Because I've been listening to Charlie Kirk video for, I think, almost a year now. And this is the message he has been passing. We need to secure the border. That's it, the southern border, because of high, illegal immigration. And that is what Senator is asking. If you are doing your job and you're doing it well, I think the country needs to praise you. And that is what I'm expecting them to do to this lady. I think her name is Kristi. So they need to at least applaud her for doing the job well, because for you to call down high rate of illegal immigrants from 20 million now down to, I don't know the number it is right now, but I think they are doing a good job. Because there are several people in America now that are not gainfully employed. They are looking for what to do. There are several people going to school. I've seen a whole lot of videos from Charlie Kirk debating college students. They are there in school. When they come out from school, they need jobs. So when you let foreigners enter the country illegally to claim these jobs, then what are they going to do after their education? So the thing is, I'm not stopping anyone from entering the country. I'm just saying, if you are to enter America, do that the legal way. I'm a Nigerian. Before you have access to entering Nigeria, you have to follow due process. You need to have visa. You need to keep the country informed of how long you'll be staying. You need to know, Nigeria needs to know the purpose of your visit. So if we can do that, then I think other countries have the same rights. You don't just barge into a country and expect them to accept you without doing a background check on you, without knowing if you understand their language or not. They just can't let you in till they have good information about you that whatever you are there to do in America is for the well-being of Americans. Anyway, this is a beautiful one. I love this and I want to see more videos like this. If you have any recommendation, let me know in the comment section. If it is the first time visiting the channel, click on the subscribe button. Thanks for watching and remain blessed.